1, 2, 3, 4. Chop, chop, chop.
It's cure of the what now?
Gather the ingredients.
Cure of the what now?
Not much time to prep before it's time to start the show.
Oh!
Guests are arriving.
Cure of the what now?
Everybody's smiling.
Cure of the what now?
A tasty party starting. Now it's time to go. Woo!
Ooh, served hot and fresh.
Itadakimasu. Hello, fellow daddies who have given in to despair, and welcome to
Episode 41, Season 2 of Cure of the What Now? Despair Edition.
the one show where we know the person you know is more important than a bunch of people you don't. That is the trolley problem.
I've heard of the trolley problem, and let me tell you, that trolley ain't shit. You just gotta love your daughter more than anything in the world.
Oh my god, Mana failed the trolley problem earlier this season. This was foreshadowing.
I love it.
My name is Kat, and I possess ownership of all of the world's food. If you want to eat, you will do what I say. Dance, monkey!
My name is Joel, I'm the co-host, and I'm just wondering, does that mean, like, because you can eat, like, radishes just, like, out of the ground. You wash them first. All food.
The food.
Okay, some people eat horses. Horses have been eaten, so have all the horses disappeared? All the animals, all the livestock?
Oh man, some people have eaten people.
Well, exactly. How deep does this go?
We gotta dig all the way down. Minecraft update, Joel's playing it.
I am playing Minecraft. I'm living my best life. I am really tempted to do a world tour video on the channel, which would be a departure from what we normally do. So maybe I would do like a Cotwin gaming channel. Maybe I won't even do this at all. But, you know, Minecraft good. I have a habitat for all my frogs. I think
his frog habitat is the best thing I've ever seen. I kind of want to see him build like a zoo for all of the Minecraft animals.
Funny enough, there actually is a video in my recommendations on YouTube that I haven't watched, but it's called I Built a Habitat for Each Animal or something like that. So.
Oh, I like that. That's wonderful.
Yes. Also, this isn't really related to the episode, but we got introduced recently to Game Changers by Dimension 20, which is a group formed from what remained of College Humor. I believe there's some connection there. And it is very good. It's a game show where the participants... It's changed a little bit, but at the beginning of the series, it was a show where the participants did not know what game they were playing, and they had to kind of guess based off of the clues that the host gave them. And
that sounds really fun, actually.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Imagine that, but as a death game. Like, you have to figure out the rules as you play, and if you get something wrong, you die.
No, that's sad. I mean, I guess death games aren't really supposed to be fair, but yeah, that's kind of interesting. I like it.
That is kind of rough. Other than that, is there any other news or updates that you wanted to share?
I believe since the last time we recorded, we got the trailer or like a teaser for the new PreCure season. And so I think maybe this will be the episode where we discuss it for a little bit.
I'm so excited for Hiragaru Sky PreCure.
Absolutely. But I don't think we have anything else for the show.
No.
So we can go into the discussion question. Now, yes. I have 2 discussion questions ready in my quiver of arrows, so to speak. But due to the fact that it seems like our upload schedule is not great these days, I'm just going to pick the one that I like better, and we're going to ask it. And then that way, if we somehow only have one more episode this season before the award show, which has definitely happened, I'm definitely going to create that link. But that way, we won't lose it in the river of time. I don't know what hand motion I'm making, but listeners, use your imagination what I possibly could have been doing to animate River of Time or express River of Time. Anyways.
He was definitely ruffling some cat bottoms.
Oh dear. We do not bother the cat's bottoms.
Oh no, my name is Cat. I was just trying to make a joke about like fluffy animals.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
How do you feel, how would you implement a cure whose abilities are luck-based in some way, shape, or form?
Luck-based? I think I would make the season about, like, taking chances. Like, being brave and going for stuff. And I think she would have a spinner, and it would be kind of like Alice's new attack at the end of Doki Doki.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever the spinner lands on, like, she gets an attack that is some version of that.
I love it. We've talked about Miraculous Ladybug a couple of times on the podcast, but if you've seen any of the episodes, I think you've seen a couple over my shoulder, but every episode she has the ability to conjure something, but the thing is, it's always the thing she needs, but she has no conscious control over it, so she usually gets it, and she looks around like, a trumpet? How am I supposed to use a trumpet to defeat this clown-themed enemy? And then there's some way that she, like, uses it as, like, a kickstand or something. But I could imagine that for the luck PreCure as well. Like, they conjure, and it's like a narwhal plushie, and they're like, I don't know what to do with this.
I love that, actually. That's delightful. Is that what inspired this question, was Miraculous Ladybug?
No, I like the idea of, like, a god of luck. If I ever did get around to programming my own video game, one thing that I'm interested in is kind of the idea of having multiple, like, a pantheon of gods, and you could do, your player actions could affect which ones you appeal to. And so I've always just been like, oh yeah, what if there was one that influenced luck? And I believe Riku from Final Fantasy X also does luck stuff.
Oh no, I thought Riku was Kingdom Hearts.
Riku is Kingdom Hearts. And fun fact, Riku from Final Fantasy X was going to be in one of the Kingdom Hearts games, and one Riku is with a single K, that's the boy who's in love with Sora, and one Riku is with two Ks, that's the girl who does luck-based stuff, but they thought that people would get confused, so they replaced her with other characters. I think it was the Final Fantasy X-2 trio? Anyways.
Cool.
So, yep.
I hate to derail the discussion question.
Oh, yes. You absolutely have never derailed a discussion question before.
I looked down at our notes, and there's a thing about, like, turns in his badge, but I saw turns in his bulge, and I was extremely concerned about the direction we were taking this podcast in.
Oh yeah, season 3 of the podcast is going to be completely unrated, and viewer discretion will be advised.
We are the spiciest white people you know.
To be fair, though, viewer discretion is always advised because our jokes just don't make any sense. You know, studies have shown that over time, listening to the podcast does rot your brain.
My mom tried so hard to listen to our podcast, and she listened to a couple of episodes, and then she was like, Catherine, I just don't know what you're talking about. It's not funny to me. Thank you, Mom. Man. Thank you for trying.
Or like we showed Curtis, former co-host of King of the What Now, a good enough summary of Kingdom Hearts, which is a hilarious video. I love it. I quote it almost every day. And I think he liked it, but it wasn't clicking.
Just
like those
the
things.
Dead stony silence while he's sitting there watching it. That's the moment you know, like, oh, anyway, back to the discussion question. So maybe I'm thinking of Ran, and maybe I'm thinking of, maybe there's a connection in my brain to like the Chinese shirts that ladies wear, the red ones with that are used in anime a lot. But I'm thinking that my luck-based PreCure would be gold and crimson colored as their outfit. Gold primarily. Not this Amane, oh, she's technically a gold, but you can't tell because it's because her hair is blonde. She looks more like a purple cure. So I'm thinking about a cure that's just like pure gold. Love it.
And I also like the idea of them having like a ribbon that kind of looks like the I'm not going to get the word right, but the sash that Japanese mythology has on their gods.
Oh, like the raiment.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is not just a Japanese word, so it just means like fancy thing a god or a magical being wears.
I really think that there might be a specific word that like anime uses or that is used in, Kaguya, the legend of, but Kaguya, common, legend of.
Yeah, are you a library all of a sudden?
Tales of Kaguya, episode 3. But anyways, just something that kind of is an allusion to that. And I think that the luck-based cure would probably be the 6th Ranger because those powers seem kind of like overpowered a little bit. But you've got coin tosses for a 50-50 chance. You got different types of dice, although you'd probably just stick to the 6-sided die, the classic. But maybe she's a big D&D nerd. Maybe she has a D20 or a D100. She could have a slot machine ability at some point. Maybe she has an attack that's like one of those paper fortune tellers. So it's not necessarily luck-based, but the enemy doesn't know what they're picking, and so they end up like choosing their own fate, I guess.
You know what I love the idea of?
What's that?
I don't know if this necessarily fits here. I can't remember if this is one of your characters or one of mine from a long time ago, but one of us had a character who had, like, Fantasy World D20 that he rolled, and it did different things to his magic. Mm-hmm. And I love the idea of a character like that who has some symbol on their dice that it's never landed on.
And at the very end, in the despair moment, they drop their die or whatever because they're just like so sad, and it finally lands on it, and it's like a go back in time 12 seconds or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
The Deus Ex Machina you're not expecting.
Or like, even not, I like that better for storytelling, but if it's not in the despair moment, it could be funny, like, oh, it's never landed on that before, and then everything just blows up.
Giant cake falls from the sky, and they're like, this doesn't help. The other thing that I will say, and I guess this is more magician related, but what if you had a PreCure who had a top hat, and during their transformation, they reach in, they pulled out their fairy partner?
Yes.
I think that would be a really cute idea.
I love that. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we finish the discussion question?
The luck PreCure in her normal civilian life should be a clumsy, unlucky person. Just constantly, spilling water on themselves, dropping food. And her friends are, good-natured about it and, help her up and make sure she doesn't get hurt. And she doesn't actually get, seriously injured, but just... I love the dichotomy. Unlucky girl, but then she transforms into this goddess with a wave of her wand. She can change your destiny.
Bad guys have a black cat, and she's got a white cat.
Oh my god.
I'm stealing that from Sweet PreCure, but...
Absolutely. Ooh, and then the other thing that I was thinking of, if you had a season that was kind of based around luck, like you were saying, taking chances and that sort of thing, shooting for the moon, that kind of a thing, the bad guys could be... we've planned out your future types. They could all have, the glasses and do the glasses adjusting thing that evil anime glasses people do. And they would just be like, our child is going to go to this school, and they're going to get this career, and they're going to marry this person we've decided. And then the risk takers could be like, no, sometimes it's good to kind of go out of your comfort zone and finding the balance.
Absolutely. I like that.
But that is all my thoughts.
Excellent.
Shall we move on?
Do you have some succinct summaries for me? Perhaps plated with a delectable sauce?
Plated? Isn't that like when you braid something?
Well, I mean, yes, but no. It's when you have a plate and you arrange the food.
Oh, plated. Plated. Okay, not Plaited, I think is the other one? Okay. Yes, we have some nice dipping sauces, and we also have this duck who plays the tuba for dinner entertainment. Blah, 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 blah. Tinka, 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 tink, 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 tink is the bad guy from the Doki Doki movie. He's come back.
Delectable.
Okay. The duck playing trombone is delectable?
The sauces.
You just reach over and start chewing on his foot while he's playing for you.
I'm tasting the delectable sauces as you speak.
This week, we watched...
Are you okay?
Okay. This week, we watched Doki Doki PreCure episodes 45 and 46, and Delicious Party 42 and 43. Next week, we will be finishing Doki Doki with episodes 47, 48, and 49.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, for real. We only have 3 episodes left.
I'm not ready for that.
I'm sorry. Maybe we could delay the episode another week and then cover them. It's still going to be next episode, no matter what happens.
Tropical Rouge has taught me that if you delay things, you will die.
You will die. Your lesbian girlfriend will leave and eventually be reincarnated as a ghost. Anyways... And we'll also be covering the next episode of Delicious Party, 44. I am almost positive that 45 will be the last episode, and we're definitely in the endgame of both of these series at this point. Doki Doki, episode 45. Joe's back. You might remember that from the end of episode 44. He has the Crown of Wisdom, and he's like, hey, this crown has shown me some stuff. Augury, Makoto, I guess Augury's other name. Anyways. Gosh,
you were having a time, man.
Oh, I think someone put my brain in the microwave and it was wrapped in tinfoil at the same time. But they have a little tete-a-tete themselves, a little chat, if you will, that excludes the other 3 girls, Mana, Rika, Alice. And basically, Augury learned something about herself that is shocking and twisted and that Kat called 50 episodes ago. And she decides that she's going to go and she's going to take Regina out at the end of the episode. She's going to do it solo. Makoto can come. She's allowed to watch and also run interference in case Marmo, whatever her name is, Ira and Belle try to interfere. And then that's the episode. They have this big long battle. Cure Ace is really going for it. And she no longer has a time limit, which is kind of cool. Kind of a last minute power up thing. And I kind of wish that it had more to do with her love, learning a lesson rather than wanting to kill someone. But whatever, But then at the end, Mon and the others show up and they're basically can we please not fight? and I believe that's where that episode ends. It's kind of blurring my recollection where 45 ends and 46 starts, but 46 is a traveling through memories, revealing the truth episode. They all use the whatchamacallit, the Crown of Wisdom, and they see the history of the Trump Kingdom, aka Splendorious. Do you remember when we were watching Doki Doki?
We just completely forgot we've been watching Glitter Force. We have to go binge Glitter Force before the next episode.
Yeah, we've got a weekend ahead of us, so we can do it. But anyways, what we find out is that there was an evil that was defeated by a previous PreCure, and it's been sealed away, and it kind of gets out. It's one of those seals where, like, there's a tiny little crack and a little blob of darkness gets out.
It gloops a little.
Yes. That tiny bit of darkness poisons Princess Anne, and Princess Anne's mom doesn't even get a name. That's freaking weird, although the king is just the king, so. But the dad gets so distraught, he's like, oh my gosh, I lost my wife, and I'm gonna lose my child. God, why have you forsaken me? And then he's like, wait, what if I could use the crown to figure out how to cure my daughter? Oh, but that would release the evil and would doom the world. And he has this moment where he's fighting within himself, but eventually he decides to do the more selfish thing of caring for his daughter and forsaking everyone else. This causes the evil goop to go inside of him, and the selfish king was actually the king all along. And man, don't you just wish that we had some, like, scenes with the king before he disappeared so we could be more emotionally attached to the fact that he transformed and became the evil king? Turns out that the selfish king killed all the other PreCure other than Cure Sword.
That's hecked up. I didn't even know there were other PreCure.
They've never mentioned it. Makoto never says, like, oh yes, I remember learning this lesson from Cure Lucky or whatever. But when Princess Anne realizes that her dad is the selfish king, Belle shows up and he basically tries to be the little devil on her shoulder who's like, you want to be selfish, don't you? You want to save your dad? Isn't that selfish? Isn't trying to save your dad trying to have your cake and eat it too? And she goes, you know what? I can't decide. She, in a metaphorical sense, but it also is kind of seemingly literal, rips her heart out of her chest and breaks it in half like some kind of Kit Kat, or like she's sharing a drumstick with someone, and one half is the selfish half, one half is the good half, one becomes Augury, one becomes Regina. Who could have guessed? And following true Kingdom Hearts logic, the body turns into an egg.
I knew it! This whole time!
I thought that Regina and Augury had a connection to each other. And I believed you that there was a connection to the princess because when Augury turns into A, she looks so much like Princess Anne, but I just wasn't sure what was happening there. You called that they were dark and light reflections of the same personality, but I definitely have been on the I is definitely the princess train since, like, day one, because, like, what are the chances that an egg shows up the day after the princess goes missing?
See, I forgot that you had mentioned that. I just remember, I can't remember which episode it was, but I feel like at one point I go, oh, and what if I is the shell of the princess? Like, we've got the id, the ego, and the super ego.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So, what a great season. I love when there's a big story element, a big juicy steak at the end of the season. It doesn't have to be the very last episode, but, like, just anything.
I want to slurp up them steak juices. I feel like Doki Doki is probably in my top 5 of the PreCure seasons we've watched.
Absolutely. Oh, what's this? We have a second serving to go with dinner, and the duck with the trombone. Was it a trombone, or did I say saxophone? He's going into the back. He's taking a rest, and now what we have are 3 gerbils standing on top of each other in a trench coat, and they are playing the xylophone. I don't know what instruments are.
I literally was going to ask, do you know what a xylophone is?
Can you name a single instrument? Yes, I can. Rome, Italy. Anyways.
The Pope of Rome?
The second plate is Delicious Party. And episode 42, you remember how episode 41 showed up? Godatz is like, I was secretly evil the whole time, I'm gonna blow up these girls, and then the good boys showed up and protected them. That is Cinnamon-san, and Mari-chan, and Takumi. They have a big fight in this episode, and we get some flashbacks. So basically, Godatz was supposed to be given both of the special Delicious Stones. And he wanted them. He wanted them bad. And then Cinnamon shows up, and Cinnamon was just so good at everything and naturally gifted that he got one of the delicious stones, and then Godatz got the other one.
No, he was supposed to get both.
He was supposed to get... Oh, Cinnamon was supposed to get both.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Cinnamon was supposed to get both. He gets framed for the robbery thing. They must not have, like, detectives or anything. Like, I don't know how Godatz set it up so it looked exactly like...
If you lived in a perfect post-scarcity world where food literally grew... Well, food grows on trees here. But you get what I'm saying. Where rice balls grew on trees. Would your society require cops?
I guess it... They have a king and a queen, though, so there's definitely private property. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, post-scarcity for food does not necessarily mean that all of the other ideals of certain societies have been realized. But anyways, Cinnamon was framed. He got sent away. Godat's like, perfect, now I'll get both delicious stones. And then Mary Chan was like, excuse me, sir, could I have a delicious stone? And Catman Ginger was like, sure, you both get... He takes the heart-shaped thing and he breaks it in half, just like Princess Anne.
It's getting creepy how many...
connections we can find.
Yeah, because we're accidentally lining these episodes up. It's not like we did this on purpose.
But anyways, he splits up the delicious stones, and then Godatz gets really mad, and that's when he decides that he's had it, he's just going to destroy everything. So this has all been a plot to get the second delicious stone.
He says, Godatz it.
So that's Godatz's story. Eventually, he, like, delivers enough power that, or, like, he does a big enough attack that, like, the girls are defeated, and he retreats back to his secret lair. I don't think we actually know where that is. It doesn't matter. Takumi and Precious, and was Mary there? Yeah, Mary also all managed to go through the portal, but the other girls, Ran, Amane, and Kokone, are stuck in the human world and unable to help. Takumi really wants to punch Godatz super hard because Godatz framed his dad for a crime he didn't commit and ruined his life, which is kind of funny because actually Takumi wouldn't have been born if that hadn't have happened. But anyways, Takumi's like, I'm going to punch this guy, and Precious goes, no, we're going to feed him rice balls. And then Godatz, basically in an underhanded tactic, blows Takumi up, hits him with like an energy blast that's powerful enough to revert him back to his human form, and then Kome Kome uses the last of her strength to teleport them out of there and back to safety, back in Oishina town.
So now Kome Kome dead. Takumi dead. Keep that body counter on your list.
But, so the next episode is Yui's despair moment. She's upset that her actions hurt Takumi and hurt Kome Kome. So she actually, like, doesn't want to transform because she's not feeling it, but even if she wanted to, Kome Kome's out of commission, so who knows how that's going to get resolved. The other three girls are like, listen, we'll take care of Godatz. Godatz enacts his evil plan, which is to erase all food from existence, which I have logistic problems with, but allow everyone to remember, so then that way they know he's the big daddy, capital B, capital D. They have to go to him. They have to submit to his will. People can't remember how to cook, so, like, certain ingredients still exist, but they don't know how to, like, they don't know what fire is or how to use it as a cooking implement, and they don't know how to put, like, cheese on top of bread, or they don't even know how to make bread.
Why am I holding the stick in my hand?
Absolutely.
Is it for beating people?
But, so, that's Godatz's evil plan. The girls are trying to fight him, and it's not working. But then Takumi wakes up, and he's all like, hey, Yui, I support you. I think you're the best. And essentially, the world is saved. Not saved, but she gets her power back and she flies off to face Godatz, and this time she might punch him, or she might not. Maybe she still wants to try to reach him.
There's a brief scene with her mom where she summons rice balls through the power of her name.
Yes, we can discuss that. Tell me, what's your name?
Don't
rice
make me
balls.
cry on this podcast. I'll kill you.
It was nothing more than a beautiful plate of steamed vegetables. But that's been your succinct summary. There's also stuff about Secretoru. I didn't forget. It's just not part of the succinct summary.
It's not succinct.
We'll come back to it.
I get it. Let's focus.
Okay.
I want to talk about Delicious Party first. And the reason is, I feel like the last two episodes would have been a lot more impactful if the subtitles hadn't been so flippin' weird.
Yeah.
So, like, we put one example in our show notes. You're too full and optimistic.
Yes. That was from the first of the 2 episodes. I don't know why it matters, but that was Godatz talking to them. And,
It really took away the gravity from some of the scenes, because this happened over and over again where the subtitles were kind of weird. So that's just something that bothered me. But overall, I liked these episodes, I'd say. What about you?
Can I ask permission, ma'am? Can I have the pass, like a hall pass, but for saying something that might have the undercurrents of political thought, but has like some spices sprinkled on top of it so it's more palatable?
I mean, I said that thing about post-scarcity, so if I hate whatever you say, I'll just make you edit it out. Go.
Okay. Isn't it strange how Pokemon is like the 3rd biggest video game franchise of all time, and Nintendo makes, like, I think billions of dollars off of the franchise, and yet Scarlet and Violet came out and had optimization issues and it crashed, which is something that I've never seen in the previous 8 generations of games. And isn't it strange that Toei, which is like synonymous with anime as far as I know, had translators who either were so rushed or so underpaid or whatever that they can't get the subtitles right. It seems like the more money you have, the more problems you should be able to solve.
That sure is weird, yeah. Yep, got 99 problems, but $1 ain't one.
I have 99 problems and they're all tax evasion. My name is Laura Lou Apollo de la Mer and I am fleeing to the ocean.
Oh my god, there's no tax laws in the ocean.
What are they going to do? Come after her with their little scuba suits?
Look, not to get political on Maine, but I have it on good authority that if you commit federal offenses and then you flee onto a boat, they can't arrest you.
This podcast is not legal advice. Please don't listen to my wife.
You don't have to pay your taxes. It's just a suggestion. Going back to Delicious Party.
I think I liked these episodes quite a bit. I would say, comparing the Doki Doki finale episodes that we're getting to, are like approaching the end game, I think I liked Doki Doki a bit better. I think that it does better with like the theming. Here's something that at first really bothered me, and I was going to get really hot and steamy on the mic, like yelling about because I didn't get it, but I've had an epiphany since then where I'm like, oh, that's what they're going for. But in a season that's about food, why is the bad guy about like jealousy and craving power? He's not like Secretoru can't cook very well, and that caused her anguish, and that's her evil backstory. Narsatoru is a picky eater. Amane was mind-controlled, which really has nothing to do with food, but Godatz is just like, grr, I want power. What the hell, man? But the season is not just about food, although it would be great if Godatz were more connected to food, but it's also about sharing your feelings. What has Godatz been doing? He has not been sharing his feelings. What do you do with food? What makes food the most delicious? Sharing it with others. What's the opposite of selflessness? Selfishness. So I do understand what they're going for, but it's still like one of those like, bleh?
Yeah, I think it's specifically one of the through lines of this season is about your connection to other people. And so his connection was damaged by his jealousy. Like, in the second of these episodes, I can't remember numbers and it's not written on my notes, but in the second of these episodes, when Yui makes the rice balls appear, there's a throwaway line that's like, everyone is eating together, everyone's sharing them together, and like that's I think kind of their shout out to like, Godatz is doing this because he has no friends.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's a question that occurred to me that I was going to bring up, but then I was like, this doesn't have anything to do with my thoughts on the episode. This is kind of a little bit more looking ahead. Do you think there's something that is enhancing the selfishness in Godatz's heart?
No.
Okay. I think there's 3 ways this could go, but they have different probabilities. There's a possibility that there's like an evil spirit of like negativity that's possessing him, kind of like Doki Doki, actually. There's the possibility that he's never had anyone talk to him about their feelings, but once they share their feelings, he'll instantly become a good guy again. And then there's the possibility that he's just an evil person, they're going to crush him under rocks, and we're never going to see him again. And knowing PreCure, I think it's most likely that it's the second one, where he's kind of doing this on his own, but he's still redeemable. But again, with, like, how drastic the change is, like, how do you learn from Ginger and, like, seem like a really nice guy in flashbacks and not give a single hint that you are apparently, like, without feelings? Godatz could be a heartless or a nobody. But how do you go from that to evil monster? I think, like, some kind of influence would make more sense. Plus, that way, when they all beat up Godatz next episode, he can unhinge his mouth like a snake, and then, like, the shadow can come out, and that'll be the final threat that they have to fight.
At the same time, I feel like every other season with, like, a secret final threat, I feel like we've had hints at that.
Yes.
And so, since there hasn't been anything, I don't know, jealousy is extremely powerful, and this story is such a popular trope that it was in the Bible.
What?
Yeah, so for ease of translation...
Is this Cain and Abel? Are we talking about? Because Cain was jealous of... Okay, sorry.
For ease of translation, I'm going to say that Ginger was the king and Fennel was the prince chosen to succeed him, right? Okay. In the Bible, there was a great king, and he had a son who was supposed to succeed him, and David came on the scene. And David was chosen by God. And
Is David the same, he fought the Goliath?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the king was like, all right, this guy's going to be king instead. And so there was a little bit of like, will this guy support him or will he be jealous? And actually they ended up being so close that a lot of biblical scholars think they were gay. It's not relevant. But I'm just saying, like, this newbie came in and took my job, and I could be their brother, or I could hate them, is a very popular trope.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like...
And he took my cereal, the last of my cereal.
It was a special edition only for the holidays, peppermint flavor. He knew I was saving it, and he still ate it. And then, like... They're like, I didn't eat it. It fell on the ground because it got dirty. I had to throw it away. And then they're like, oh my God, brother. And then they hug or whatever. But,
perfect. Yes.
So I think about story writing a lot. I wouldn't mind trying to be an author someday. And I kind of analyze media. Like, who does a podcast if they don't enjoy kind of like analyzing and dissecting stuff like that?
Oh, I know the answer to this one. People who like the sound of their own jokes.
Yes, but, like, why not just do an improv comedy show at that point? Like, why are we doing an anime-focused podcast?
That's a good point, yeah.
So I like stories, but, like, one thing that I feel is a bit of a disconnect that I haven't seen done very well in a lot of fiction, right? Be it a video game, be it a book, be it an anime. But, like, sometimes emotions are just irrational. Sometimes someone just has anger issues, and there's not, like, a secret reason behind it. But all the stories that I've read, and maybe this is... like a Western tradition, maybe, you know, Asian or African stories don't follow the same pattern. But I always look for a reason. Like, you expect, if Yui loves food, it's because her grandma taught her to love food. So there is a reason there. But Godatz being power hungry doesn't seem to really have a reason, but he could just be born that way. In real life, there are people who crave power and they weren't, like, built that way. Or they were built that way and there wasn't, like, a inciting incident.
It's so interesting to me that you don't see someone else took my fated role as an inciting incident. Like, I think he was normal, and then I think this happened, and it was so upsetting that he's like, no, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, but, like, why was he so okay. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm being dense. You know, I'm not emotionally connecting with a character that I should clearly be emotionally connecting to, but I would say that I don't get Godatz's motivation at this point.
Okay, that's fair. I think maybe what we will see revealed in the next couple of episodes is there'll be some dish that Ginger used to make them when they were kids, and he's sad because he's never going to get to eat it again. And this is really about his feelings about Ginger.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So he wasn't... I mean, I guess...
So, like, he expected to inherit Ginger's title and his Delicious Stones, and that would have made him feel closer to Ginger. And now Ginger is gone, and he doesn't have the special Delicious Stones.
Do you remember in the canon when Ginger passed away, did he die before Cinnamon was framed? I assume so, right?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. It can happen one of two ways. Either he was jealous of not getting the stones a little bit.
Sorry, no. He died after Cinnamon was framed because we see him break his thing in half.
Okay, to give to the two. Okay, never mind then. Yeah, maybe he was, like, kind of jealous about not getting the Delicious Stones, but then when Ginger passed, it, like, snapped, and maybe he just says he's upset about the Delicious Stones, but what he's really upset about is the loss of Ginger, because then that would be a really nice parallel to Yui and Yone as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And Ayu even pointed that out a few weeks ago. She was like, hey, this is a great moment of somebody talking to their passed away mentor because we have this other person who isn't handling the loss of their mentor well.
Absolutely. It's amazing, like, what like sounds really smart and interesting. Not sounds, but like, I really like that point. And I remember AU making that point in the Discord, and I liked it, but then in between then and now I'd completely forgotten. And you had to like remind me, I'm like, oh yeah, it is a thematic connection that someone else found out or realized. Let's talk about Yone. And another connection to Doki Doki, strangely enough, the Doki Doki movie specifically, Yone the grandma figure, just like Mana's grandma figure, was the one to suggest her name, and did so with a specific, like, intent, capital I, to use Sanderson logic.
Absolutely, and we can talk about this a little more in Thoughts from the Crew, because AU goes into some details about, like, the specific Japanese, but Yui's name basically means to bring people together. It's related to the word musubi, which I know from Your Name, the best anime movie of all time. And so that's cool.
Yeah, and it fits with the themes. It's really good.
I wonder if that's common in Japan, grandparents suggesting names for grandchildren.
Maybe.
Or if it's just a trope that we keep seeing in anime.
Well, specifically in, these anime or whatever. So I did find out that I thought it was kind of funny that in Bocchi, that the main girl and her little sister are basically named like 1 and 2. Like I think it's Hitori and Futaba, which I think are, again, like 1 person, 2 person, or 1 or 2. And then One Piece has a group of characters that are named Ichi-ni and Sanji, and I thought that was kind of strange. I thought maybe it was just like a fairy tale trope, but I learned recently that no, that's actually fairly common to find. You don't name your child 1, but you name them like the word for 1, and then you add like an extra syllable before N to make it more name-like.
I'm going to start doing that if we have kids. The first one's going to be Wanda.
What if they're a boy? No, Wanda, either way.
All names are gender neutral, Joel.
Absolutely. They're just
nothing means anything.
We live in a postmodern society.
We live in a post-gender society.
Ooh. All right, then. Let's see if there's anything else that we should talk about in Delicious Party. And by let's see, I don't know. I guess we have a document.
We had a brief recess, and so Joel's just trying to, like, casually segue us back in. Mari had a quote in the second of these episodes that I really, really liked.
Absolutely. I think that it could be the tagline of all PreCure, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. Like, but it was, a heart that beats for others is forever invincible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mari. Yeah. You know what was a great Mari moment in this episode?
What's that?
Yui was sad about getting Kome Kome and Takumi blasted. And Mari goes, I know how you feel, Yui. One time I couldn't get my makeup right, and that really sucked. My friends told me to keep going, and now I feel better. Those aren't the same thing, Mari. I need you to understand. We're talking about magnitude here. That's orders of magnitude different.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's cute that, like, he couldn't get his makeup right, and his friends were like, no, you can do it. And his friends were also men who were training to be fighters. Like, I don't know. That's not your typical male character struggle, and I liked that.
I absolutely agree. The one thing that I will say is, so he starts telling this story, and this is after Godatz has shown that he's evil, has done an underhanded attack to, like, sucker punch Takumi and almost get him killed. And Mari starts telling this story about, like, oh yeah, I couldn't get my makeup right, and it shows this flashback, and you see a hand on his shoulder, like someone who's reassuring him, and I actually said out loud, like, I swear to God, if it's Godatz trying to be helpful, I'm gonna be so upset, because either he's a sociopath or he's not. But it wasn't, it was Cinnamon, because Cinnamon and Mary are the OTP.
It's funny, though, because you must have missed Fennel in the background, like, picking up one of the things that he dropped and handing it out to him. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I forgot that Fennel's name, that Godatz's name was Fennel for a bit, or vice versa.
That's fair.
When you were like, Fennel, I'm like, who's that? Is there a 5th Coup Kingdom warrior I have to worry about? One last thing. Takumi sort of confess his feelings. So after...
And Yui actually seemed to get it.
For a bit, yeah. So Takumi comes back, and he goes, hey, listen, there's something that I care about. It's protecting the smiles, and he looks directly at you, and he goes, of the people I love. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's pretty neat. Cool, bro. Nice.
There's like a glow around her face, and her hair starts floating slightly, like it's Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, like that thing that happens in anime when you hear something that changes your world and like in slow motion. I must have missed that or forgotten somehow. But I really like that. It wasn't really like a confession. It wasn't like, I like you. It was sort of like, I guess I'd call it like an unspoken confession. Like, there's subtext there, and I think she picked up on the subtext, but if he had been direct, she just would have like had like a brick wall, like a defense shield. It would have pink right off of her brain, and she wouldn't have heard it.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else you want to say about Delicious Party?
No, I think I'm ready to move on. Nothing else in the notepad.
Did you not want to say anything about Secretoru? Are we saving that for...
Oh, Secretoru! Oh, my girl!
Joel has adopted Secretoru as anime waifu of the year.
Okay, so listen.
I'm listening.
Look, I already mentioned this in a previous episode, and I was trying not to be too thirsty on Maine about it, but like, she's really pretty with her hair down, and I really like that look for her. But she still, except for in flashbacks, basically has no personality in the present time other than I need things to be perfect. Although she does secretly keep like, you know, looking at Instablog or, you know, Instagram and food blogs and stuff, and she has her own desires. She's just so committed to the Godatz goal that she can't focus on what she might want. But after she gets betrayed by Godatz, he leaves her there to die because he's selfish and doesn't care about other people, and that's going to bite him in the butt. She wakes up and she's at Kakone's house because Kakone's parents are rich and they have like a private doctor or something that can look at her. And when the mom comes in, Secretoru knows who this woman is. She's like, oh, that's the genius taste tester. And she just like starts blushing and she starts animating and she gets embarrassed. I have always said this. Characters who express themselves are way more interesting to me than characters who don't. That's why Bakugo will always be better than Todoroki in my personal opinion. If you like Todoroki, that's fine. But I really like that side of Secretoru and it was so cute.
It was really cute.
We can save that for looking ahead later in the episode, but a question to keep in mind, what role will she play in the final 2 episodes, because she definitely will. But it's not time for that.
You know what it is time for?
Hello! It's time for Mana!
Not quite.
What?
It's time for a bad joke that you're not going to laugh at.
Oh.
You said you don't know what Secretoru wants outside of the Godatz plan. I know what she wants. Godie's nuts. Hey, you did laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. It was more like in the cartoons when someone has a fake gun and it just has like a little stick that says bang on it. Like, it was the laugh equivalent of that. The stick that says bang.
You know how in Watchmen, Rorschach has the famous line, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me.
Was he the originator of that? Oh my gosh, yes, I do know that.
That's what this podcast is. You're trapped in here with me, and I get to make as many jokes as I want.
You're not making dumb jokes at me. I'm making dumb puns at you. Okay, so now we can say hello to Mana.
Yes.
Okay. Did you like these 2 episodes?
Yes.
Okay.
I always love it when I'm right. And I especially love that it didn't come across as an ass pull.
Yeah, there were so many clues leading up to this.
The foreshadowing was really good, and I love that Jonathan and Makoto are like, yeah, this is what's gotta happen. Yeah.
There's no other way out of this because we don't have the same capacity for love that Mana does. One thing that I really appreciated while we were watching these episodes is it shows the flashback of the very first episode, maybe one of the earlier episodes when we get Makoto's backstory, and it shows her trying to escape with the princess, and the princess is like, go on without me, and Makoto is kind of like falling to the human world. We get an extended version of that from Princess Anne's point of view, where Belle catches up to her and he tries to devil on her shoulder, like I said in the succinct summary. And when she breaks the 2 hearts and creates her 2 halves, you out loud said, Belle knew the whole time! Because there was an episode earlier where Ira was like, wait, is Regina just not a selfish or something like that? But Belle freaking had the insight. He had the cheat code. He might have even known that the Princess Anne crystal was fake.
Oh my god, he should have known that, yeah!
Oh my gosh, and I just realized, Jimmy Neutron Brain Blast moment. Every time they needed to talk to Princess Anne, I created a mirror, and the mirror wasn't for talking to the princess across space. It was getting her inner thoughts from I, the baby. Oh, gosh, I love Doki Doki.
Doki Doki's really good.
But yeah, these episodes were really good, and I really liked it, and they gave you enough details. They might have given you maybe a little too many details if you're older than the target demographic, but like, who cares? But they gave you enough that it didn't feel like an asspull, and I absolutely loved it.
It's funny, we're sitting there and we're watching Doki Doki, and we get to the part where they start explaining what happened with the king and the choice that he made and how that let the selfishness into his heart. And I look at you and I'm like, I really like that this is more nuanced than a lot of the other conflicts that we've seen in this series so far. You know, the other ones, it's like, yeah, it's obviously selfish that you want to take all the letters out and burn them because you don't have a girlfriend.
Let's use internet meme speak for this. The virgin, I want to cut in line to get to the top of this tower, versus the Chad, my daughter is dying, please help.
I don't know what to do. Right, so I'm commenting on how it's nice to see this be like a mature conflict, and then the girls like straight up look at the camera and they're like, this is a mature conflict.
Well, they tell Augury, because they're trying to show that they're on her side. They're like, yeah, I don't know how you would answer a question like this. But it's great. I love, and I mean, every PreCure, not every PreCure, I guess the original Futari Wa didn't, but a lot of PreCures, the main lead cure seems to be the why can't we all get along person. That's been true for a lot of seasons we've watched. Hikaru, Momozona Love, true for Mana. But I appreciate that one of the very first things we saw Mana do in this series was get two groups of people who are arguing and gets them to shake hands, because she wants these two different groups of people who have different perspectives to be able to see each other's point. And now in these final episodes, I mean, who knows what the Selfish King is going to do, because he doesn't really have a counterpart except maybe future son-in-law Jonathan. But like, Regina and Augury are clearly like two cats trying to stake out the same territory. And Mana's over here just being like, could you two just shake hands and agree not to kill each other? Duh! Like, that's the obvious answer.
Yeah, the best part is Regina's not even evil anymore, and she's still on the Selfish King's side.
Yes, her red eyes turned back to blue, and her dress turned from purple to red, which seemed like she was going to join them, but then she ended up being like, no, I still love Dad. And I mean...
Has anybody ever killed an entire country so you could live? No? You have no idea what it's like to be loved as much as I am loved.
The next episode is just a 30-minute sit-down therapy session, and by the end of it, Selfish King in his giant 70-foot-tall form is just crying, I was so mean to my advisor! Wow.
I still think, I really like your point about Mana bringing
the two sides together,
because like, man, yeah, they foreshadowed that way back in the first episode. That's awesome. But I think ultimately the way they're going to defeat the Selfish King once they get Regina on their side is they're all going to get in a circle around and just give him a big hug.
Yeah, absolutely. We do love the use of PreCure Giant Lady, and the Selfish King seems too big to hug unless like you hugged his fingers or maybe like his horn, so they might have to PreCure Giant Lady into a Giant Angel thing that...
I want PreCure Giant Lady. I would be extremely gratified to see that.
Absolutely. I think... so... We've talked about this before, how sometimes conflict seems to arrive when people aren't really good at communicating. You know, that's a lot of stories that there's like a lack of communication. But I really just wish, now that the Doki Doki PreCure girls know that the Selfish King is actually the real king, and they even know that he's possessed, like... I'm a little confused, and so, like, I don't know why they can't just appeal to Regina and be like, we don't want to kill your dad. We want to save your dad, and the best way to do that is to hit him with a giant F-off heart with wings, and you can help Regina, please. And I kind of, for a moment, had one of those moments where I was like, I thought... if Regina can love, how can she possibly be selfish? But then you pointed out off mic, it's a selfish kind of love, like she only loves this one person and she seems to be willing to do anything to like protect him, and like that's sort of the point of family, but you can take it too far. But I really like, I don't foresee Regina having the anime turning into Miss and being absorbed back into Augury moment. I think they're both going to continue to be their own autonomous people.
Which of them gets to marry Jonathan? No, that's a joke because they're both children.
But they grow up super fast.
They do. I think I will grow up into a full person and I will marry Jonathan.
I will give the Selfish King a little kiss on the forehead, and that's what's going to turn him back into the normal king. I
love, too, when Jonathan comes back, the girls are like, where have you been, you Mist Eyes grumpy face? Yeah,
the fairies, I totally forgot about that moment. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm curious how we're going to get 3 more episodes out of this. I haven't looked at the titles or anything, but I'm guessing that 49 will just be one of those flash forward episodes that shows like the aftermath.
No, they haven't done that, or they didn't start doing that until Go Princess.
Well, then I have no idea how we're going to get 3 more episodes of this. Maybe the Selfish King will split into 4 shadows, because Regina's there, and then each one of them will fight one of the Doki Doki girls, and you'll get like a short 5-minute Rika final lesson, final test of her courage and wisdom.
Maybe Mana will be trapped inside her mind palace, and she will have to prove her love can overcome dark Mana.
Yeah, because we haven't had a despair moment really from Mana, so I'd be willing to believe that. Or alternatively, this is the season where they kind of buck tradition, and instead of having the pink lose her power and unable to transform, it was Augury a couple of episodes ago when she ran away from Grandma, and she had the lamest despair moment of all time.
It was a pretty lame despair moment.
Is there anything else about these episodes that you liked or that you look forward to?
I like Mana's vibe.
Mm-hmm.
She yells, all we can do is hit him with all the love we've got.
Yes! So Augury says, I need to kill Regina, and Regina goes, I need to kill Augury. And Mana goes, violence isn't the answer. I think that was the end of episode 44, or 45, but they're all kind of blending together. But then they get the flashback, and they see, like, what's going on, and then Augury goes, so in conclusion, we have to kill each other. And Mana goes, no, after showing that story, I definitely know that you two should get along. Like, all we can do is hit the bad guys with all the love that we have. And, like, all right. I kind of, because a lot of times in fantasy or fiction, you get characters where you'll have, like, the one character who's like, killing is a line we must never cross. And Mana didn't say the word kill, but you know what I mean. One person who's just, like, absolute paragon, cannot budge, and then, or pacifist. And then the other person who's just, like, do anything that's necessary. And usually the pacifist ends up being right. But in this case, Mana's still mostly a forgive people, but she also is saying, hit him with all the love that we got. Like, okay, we can't just talk this guy down. We're going to have to hit him with the giant laser beam.
I love it.
Alice, are the satellites in place to use the friendship amplifying blast so I can achieve Super Doki PreCure 4? That's a joke for my Dragon Ball GT fans, all 2 of them.
What's a Dragon Ball GT?
Nothing. What's a GT with you?
Let's move on to love letters.
Let's move on.
As I mentioned very briefly earlier, Yui, the kanji for Yui's name is the same as the verb musubu, which means to tie people together. And naming a child Yui with that kanji means you want them to be able to bring people together. And then I don't know if I'm pronouncing this word correctly, so I apologize. But as a gerund plus an O for respect, it becomes omusubi, one of the words for rice balls.
Yes. Yeah, the gerund is the infinitive of a verb. So that's awesome. I love that they lost all memory of food, but here's a child whose name is basically very close to food. Like, could you imagine if we had a child or someone had a child named, like, Asparagus? It was missing the A, but it was still mostly there.
And then they were like, asparagus, and all of a sudden we all remembered about asparagus.
Yes,
which is basically what happened with Yui. I love that she is both named Connection and Rice Ball. Basically,
absolutely. I don't know. Maybe this is because I'm a American Westerner or whatever, and maybe I'm a bit of like, oh, their culture is so much better than ours because it's different, and maybe there's people in Japan who think that the American culture is way better. But I really do think, from a linguistic point of view, that the Japanese language is better with puns than the English language, just because you have kanji that can be in multiple words.
There's so many different layered meanings that aren't necessarily present. Hebrew can be like that as well. If you read the Bible in Hebrew, the symbols that are used for different sentences make the sentences mean additional things other than what they just basically mean. So that's kind of cool. That's 2 Bible references in one podcast. I want to make it clear that this is not a religious podcast. I was just very into studying religions when I was a teenager. So I have a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, I could not quote a single story from like Norse mythology. I could not quote a single story from the Quran. So unfortunately, we want to be neutral. We want to try to like balance all the religions, or we'll talk about them as little as possible, but we only have the one point of reference that's really familiar to both of us.
I was going to ask you this earlier. Who named you, and what does your name mean?
My mom named me, and I was born on Christmas Day. I was a preemie. I was supposed to be born in January, but then surprise call. I'm adopted, by the way, and my adopted parents knew that they were going to adopt me before I was even born, and my birth mom knew that she was going to put me up for adoption. And so they got a call at like 6 a.m. on Christmas Day as it was snowing. And so apparently Joel means gift from God. So
nice.
How about you?
My name means purity, and I was named for my great aunt Kathy, who was a nun.
I see. And she, in turn, was named after Catherine the Great, who was a Russian monarch, and I don't remember my history lesson. She was in an epic rap battle of history, though.
She was, yeah. So. That's the catchiest part of that rap. Anyway, moving on to Ao's other thought. Secretoru be gay, though.
I'm so proud of you for being so gay for Kokone's mom. I don't know how these adults are going to work out the situation, but I wish them all the best. I love that. Now, I don't know how old Kokone's mom and Secretoru are supposed to be, or Secretoru are supposed to be. The vibe I got was more that at the end of the series, I guess this is a good segue into looking ahead, but I assumed that Secretoru was going to become like an understudy to Kokone's mom, and it is a crush, but it's one of those crushes where like you really admire someone, less so than, we're gonna hold hands and get married or whatever. But hey, if they want to and they're both of consenting age, whatever, I don't care. Secretoru is super cute. I like her.
I'm imagining Kokone's dad being like, "Can I get in on this?" and Secretoru being like, "What are you?"
Isn't he someone famous too? Isn't he also a food critic, or is that just the mom?
He's famous, but I don't think to the same extent.
I think she's a famous like taste tester or gourmand or whatever, and I think he's the one who actually owns the restaurants.
This is relevant because Delicious Party is about food. Did I tell you about Brian David Gilbert's video, Midnight Gourmand?
I have seen it in my recommendations. I haven't watched it.
We're going to watch it immediately after this podcast. It's so good. Everybody else go watch it too.
Okay, everyone else, your homework is to watch Game Changers. Your homework is to play Minecraft. Your homework is to study Hebrew. And then also watch Brian David Gilbert's Midnight Gourmand.
Come on, Joel. That's a lot of homework. They have other classes.
No, they don't.
I would love for that to be your final thought, but we do have looking ahead to the future.
Yes. Okay, so the one question that I'm most interested in, how do you see Secretoru playing a part in this? And, do you think Narsatoru and Seraphule, or whatever their name is, are also going to participate?
Very minor participation. Okay. I don't think Secretoru or Narsatoru are going to be instrumental in the defeat of Godatz, but I think we're going to have a moment where it's like, send your love to the PreCure, and it'll flash to them and their memories with the PreCure, and they'll send some
Godatz will have erected a giant statue of himself, and then the PreCure have been defeated.
Narsatoru will pee on it.
Okay. So they'll have their moment where they're all defeated, which we've technically kind of already had, but maybe this one will be even better. But they'll all be there, and he'll build the statue and place it on top of them, and then a bunch of citizens will try to push the statue off of them. And the 3 main faces we'll see will be Narsatoru, Seraphule, or Secretoru. Or they hit Godatz with the friendship blast, and they're trying to be like, hey, Rice is love, boy. And he goes, nope, I'm out of here, and he teleports away, but then he doesn't have enough strength, so he kind of like collapses to the ground, and then Secretoru and Narsatoru are there, and either, this is where the universe splits, and we get a version where Secretoru and Narsatoru are like, here, let's help you up, we'll teach you how to be selfless, let's go on this redemption journey together, or, the better option, they just take turns kicking him in the stomach.
The enemy!
The enemy!
I love that. I love that a lot.
Okay.
The next episode is titled This title is making me giggle. Like, it's very amusing to me, and I can't quite describe why. But the title is Sharon Energy with Many Thanks. So I assume this is the everyone lend your strength to the PreCure moment.
Yeah, probably. We have 2 more episodes left, and now that we are in an episode or a season after Princess, you can't be like, well, they don't do that anymore. So I think next episode will be the climax, because they're using the frickin' Sharon Energy tagline. I also wonder when Yui's going to remember that she has a super punch that she hasn't tried since the last time. Like, she hasn't really been thinking about it. There's been a lot on her plate. On her plate. But I think that she'll deliver a 5,000 calorie punch, and Godatz will be like, 5,000 calories straight to my gut. What?
Has she not been doing 5?
She's been doing 2,000, and she tried 5,000 the episode after Mary told her to basically put her back into it because someone's been watching My Hero Academia. But she started to, and then she kind of like stumbled, and then she went back down to 2,000.
Okay. For some reason, I was like, 5,000 was where she was stuck. She's going to 10,000, but that's just me misremembering.
Also, in that scene where Yui started to remember what rice balls are, or like what her name means and restored memory, at one point, one of the lucky cats was glowing and a bunch of Hoka Hoka hearts came out of it. So, like, this seems obvious, but I just gotta ask for clarity's sake, do you think that all of the cats around town were the Hoka Hoka accumulator that Ginger secretly created?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering if maybe they're going to have that send your energy to the PreCure, and then maybe Takumi back in Oishina town will specifically have to go to the tower and press the button to release the
Hoka. I wish those had been a bigger part of this season.
Yeah, they're kind of like throwaway. Like, the recipes are important, but like their connection to like food and stuff is just sort of like, yeah, it exists. Yeah. We'll explore in some manga where you find out that there's actually like a dark Hoka Hoka or something like that. Yeah. Oh my gosh! One really quick thought that I didn't mention, in Doki Doki, when we got the flashback, we saw Gur and Leva, who I honestly for a second forgot were in the series. Like, I looked at them and I was like, oh yeah, those boys, I remember them now. We see Belle, we see Ira, we see Marmo, but we also see, in the background, 2 shadowy figures, and I believe that they're in the manga, like they have character names and they're killed or whatever, but like, hey, confirmation that they are the 7 deadly sins, if you hadn't caught on to the fact that one of them is literally named Gura and eats all the time.
Yum, 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 yum.
And that has been...
No.
Oh. What's up? Everyone be warned that this next part of the podcast is spoilers for the next season. If you want to know nothing about the next season of PreCure, this is the end of the episode. Bye. Feel free to skip to the credits if you want. We'll see you next week.
Hiragaru Sky PreCure, which in English has its own name. It will be Soren Sky PreCure.
Nice. Okay.
So I only wanted to know the names and faces of the main duo, and I know a little bit more of that than that. But I'm really excited for this season. It appears as though there will be a blue main cure, which is kind of a first. Like, there is a pink in this season, but I cannot stress this enough. She does not appear to be one of the main girls.
Really? I haven't actually seen the trailer yet, so I should probably do that. But my impression was this was going to be a sweet PreCure, not reference, but like kind of thing.
Redux?
Where pink and blue will be the 2 main cures. The other 2 are kind of secondary cures that maybe show up like a couple of episodes in after they've had a chance to kind of work out their partnership, as it were. But yeah, absolutely. If and when the 6th Ranger is revealed, please don't tell us. I really want that to be a secret. I know Twitter will probably shove it in my face, but good news, Twitter's currently on fire. So maybe I won't be on it as much when the toy merchandise comes out. So yeah, please don't hop onto the Discord just to ruin the surprise of who the cure is going to be.
Absolutely. There wasn't actually a trailer. It was just a video with the main, like, battle music or something.
Oh, it was the main theme, I think. It was a preview of it. Okay, I thought that there was, like, some animation in it, but maybe they save the animation preview for the episode, the crossover that we'll get. And please, Crunchyroll, I don't understand why there needs to be a legal issue about whether or not you can broadcast the next season that you definitely have the rights to. Please just play it.
Yes, I want to see the baton pass. One of the characters looks kind of like a Manatsu to me.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping... So we heard a while ago that this season was going to be like the most worldwide season of PreCure.
I think they wanted to focus more on, absolutely.
Which I'm hoping means that we're going to have PreCure from like different countries. And so I think she as like the tropical girl would be cool.
Absolutely. And look, I know that I'm weird. And I know that, it's awesome to pay homage to, like, past seasons in anniversary seasons, and I think some people are considering this a 20th anniversary. I can never keep track because technically the first year was when the second season was coming out. So I think this is the 20th season, but I don't think it's the 20th anniversary.
This is an anniversary season.
It is. Okay.
Yes.
So I kind of hope that we don't get a bunch of Nagisa and Honoka. They can show up. They can have like a 2-episode arc where they're visiting whatever town, probably going to be called like Sky Palace Town or something. They can give advice, but I do not want them to be like these tertiary characters that are around for like half of the season.
Yeah, listen, I mean, we had Hugto PreCure, and the climactic battle of Hugto PreCure was so good that we don't have to do it again. Absolutely. So Nagisa and Honoka can just be at college or whatever, Let them live their lives.
They don't age. All PreCure seasons happen at the same time, but also not.
You want to know something interesting?
Okay.
I believe that you're correct, except in that season when the Kirakira girls showed up, they were definitely like older and off doing their own stuff.
Really?
And then they were like schlooped there and they were like, yeah, we're PreCure again.
Interesting. Yeah, because like they do the crossovers, and if they're going to keep indefinitely doing the crossovers, or if they theoretically for the 30th anniversary might bring Honoka and Nagisa back, like you don't want them to be like 40-year-olds, you want them to still be PreCure age, but I think time is relative. I think the baby from Hugto is probably just like doing some weird stuff,
Does that count as a spoiler for Hugto?
Isn't it known, like, in the very first episode?
I don't remember.
Well...
Anyway, we told people this would be spoilers,
Yeah, we told them they'd be spoilers for freaking Sky PreCure, not for... So I pulled up there's, like, a poster that kind of shows the 4 cures and the little baby. How do you feel about the little baby?
She's just a goblin. So I'm going to say cute.
I think she's cute. Her portions are weird, but she's not supposed to be human. But we'll have to see how she acts, because I could easily see her being like a pampered princess character, which is not my favorite. But I could also see her being a little terror, and then she might be Laura 2.0.
Well, and like the premise for this appears to be that Blue is like the knight sworn to protect her. And so she and the Blue end up going to Earth, and they find White, and they're like, all right, you're with us now.
Absolutely. I'm looking at the character designs other than the baby. I'm getting a bit of Cure Custard from the orange.
I was going to say Cure Chocolat, but yeah.
Oh, the hat definitely is chocolate, but I think the poofy skirt kind of reminds me a little bit of Himarine's transformation. Maybe this is because it's recency bias, but pink or white kind of reminds me of Bochi a little bit. Something about the face in the pose that she's in this poster specifically. And then the blondie, who I guess is the pink Cure, reminds me of Mirai. And I know there's only so many ways you could draw different characters, but like those are the vibes I get from those 3.
Gotcha. So you get a Mirai, not a Manatsu.
Yes.
From Blondie.
And Blue seems to be the most original, or has the least like, oh, that reminds me of this other character design. But I have seen her civilian design, and she seems like a fashion icon, and I love that.
I love that we have a Blue lead. Marine in the background is like, I led the way for this.
Absolutely. Also, the bad guys are called Undurg, I think is what AU said they were called, and they appear to be like underworld and or earth themed, and of course Earth versus Sky, I love it. But they really like, James, that one welder guy, pointed out like, kind of looks like Bebop and or Rocksteady. I do not know which one is which, but looks like one of them. And like, I like the designs of these monster creatures. I like that they're kind of scrunkly. I hope that they're not like, we eat trash kind of levels of disgusting, but I kind of get like, if the PreCure are perfect manicure and ladies, and they're walking and they can bounce the books on their head or whatever, and they always have their pinky out when they drink tea, I get the feeling that these are the sort of guys who like burp and belch in front of the queen, or call her like, oh yes ma'am, and everyone's like, it's your lead, and like, okay ma'am, that kind of a thing.
Absolutely. They're very Team Skull kind of folks. They remind me of bad guys from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes. There's 2 of them, that Rocksteady and Bebop.
Oh, you literally
and one of them is like, I think one of them is a rhinoceros, and then the other one is like a boar, and that's the one they remind me of. So someday I might get into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Did you know, tangent time, there was a comic where someone, might have been Shredder, probably was, but someone had killed 3 of the 4 turtles, and the 4th turtle, the comics are dark for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in some places, is what I've heard. But the 4th brother has all of their weapons and is on a revenge quest, and the narrator / the framing does not tell you which it is. And like the blindfold that's color coded is like black or whatever because of like the revenge, or because it's like they've been wearing it for so long. So you literally don't know who it is.
That's awesome.
Although they have such distinct personalities. I know the Weekly Planet podcast were like, it's probably X. I'm not going to say which one it is, but they were like, it's probably X. That makes the most narrative sense. And then at the end it was like, oh, was it X? Might have been.
What I know about the turtles, I think I know which one's most likely to go on an outrageous revenge quest.
At the same time, wouldn't it be great to see Michelangelo, the kitty, like, dorky one who, like, skateboards and is the laziest, just, like, going on a murder spree?
Yes.
Just John Wicking it everywhere.
And that has been your doot final thought.
Outro goes here. And remember, if you try to replace any of my food with cauliflower, I will find you. I know where you live. I live in your walls.
Oh my god, that was in the mic test. They don't know, Joel.
Oh god, it was! They won't know!
Thank you all for joining us for another delicious plateful of
Cure of the What Now.
Please take a moment to rate and review wherever you get your podcasts from.
Or if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to leave a comment, a like, or lick that subscribe bell so you know when the new episodes are going up.
Did you just say lick it?
Well, yeah, we're baking delicious foods. It's a delicious party.
Anyway, you can find me on Twitter at PirateGhostHost. Please don't lick me.
Can you even lick a ghost? I'm on Twitter at Cotwin_pod.
KOTWN_pod.
Absolutely. And as always, the Discord link is in the Twitter bio and also in the YouTube description.
Come join us for weekly discussions, streams, and all of the PreCure your heart can handle. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yum. Or no, I'm full!